So good morning, Sushant. This morning I was reading newspaper and I saw a big ad, from some company. I don't want to take the name, but they are saying that, based on the gene, they can tell people about cardiac arrest. So it's really funny, how people are being misled by these guys. As we keep saying, genes are not important. What is important is gene expression and, how really your body is responding to the food, to the stimuli. uh, so welcome to another talk where we want to bust a lot of myths, which are floating around in the market and how people are being misled. Particularly, we will be talking about artificial sweeteners. That's right, Sushant.
Yeah, so we'll be talking a bit about
So let's begin.
so first of all, this is a funny start of genes is people calling genes can be responsible for cardiovascular diseases or number of diseases, and this I have seen since 2013. There are a number of genetic company which came in, and the biggest funniest story is if your gene is responsible, why you have survived for 50, 60 years, right? So I always give an example that if someone has APOE4 gene, which is a gene for Alzheimer's, right? So you do not, your genes doesn't say, I will wait for 70 years and then I will wipe off your memory, right? So there's always a trigger point, right? And trigger point is obviously in 99.9% is your microbiome, right? So microbiome releases certain molecules which changes the gene's expression, right? So again, focus has to be on not on DNA but on RNA, right? But that's a
Absolutely.
basics. So today we'll be talking. So post COVID, we have seen a lot of these waves of supplements, right? So there is a typical marketing punchline by these supplement companies that, okay, COVID have made people realize how much important is health, and we are giving you certain supplements to improve your health. This is one of the most obnoxious claim I've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thing is that there has been a ill pill love affair for so many years. We were resorting to antibiotics and drugs and immune suppressants and a lot of these things, right? And now it has gone an upgrade. Now the ill has been replaced by modern ills, which is modern pills, which is supplements, right?
Okay.
Now, again, most of these supplements are OTC, made for scale standard ingredients, assumes it will work in a similar way for everyone, and that's the biggest wrong flawed assumption. And it has number of ingredients, including one of those, as you rightly pointed out, the artificial sweeteners or non-nutritive sweeteners like sucralose, like sorbitol, there are a lot of all these sweeteners and aspartame and saccharin and a lot of these things, right? So before we get into basics, before we deep dive into the basics of the supplements, what you should look at, right? I would like to discuss a very important thing which is really connected with the oral administration of these supplements, right? And which is a very important molecule which is produced inside our body every second, right? And there has been a scientist which won a Nobel Prize on this in 1992, which was discovered way back in 1992. And this molecule, or what we call is this master molecule, is called as nitric oxide, right?
Yeah.
And this is something our body produces. It's a gas, right? So nitric oxide is made of two atoms, nitric plus oxygen. So nitric oxide, nitrogen plus oxygen, right? So nitric oxide is actually is along every cells, right? So endothelial cells, and just to tell some functions. So for everything, nutrient and oxygen delivery to your cells, to every part, so insulin signaling, delivering insulin energy source, glucose energy source to every, you need blood flow, right? That is a basic. Even the metabolites released by the microbiome is something is they require blood flow, and for smooth blood flow and circulation, we need nitric oxide. So nitric oxide actually ensures regulates our blood flow, regulates our blood circulation, relaxes our arteries, open up blood cells, right? So whenever we are eating something which is triggering the release of insulin, so insulin, this hormone responsibility is to make sure that the energy sources transport from head to toe, right? And for that, these cells have to be opened up properly. There has to be a proper way to go, and blood flow has to be proper. And that's why nitric oxide is really important. So people who don't have nitric oxide, right, have high risk of type 2 diabetes, right? It regulates blood pressure. So people have hypertension, cardiovascular diseases, it's nitric oxide, right? Even blood flow is linked to sexual health. So infertility, erectile dysfunction, right? All these are connected with nitric oxide, right? So essentially, another funny thing is, so people take Viagra, right? So male generally take Viagra with erectile issues, right? And Viagra is does not work in 45% of the individuals. Why? Because the individual do not have the right nitric oxide. So it takes the lower end of the nitric oxide, and it does the additional work of the erection, right? So essentially, for the drugs like Niagara to be functional, you need nitric oxide. So there are number of such function, even blood flow too. So if you want to brain to function, you're giving some instruction to brain to do something, and brain again needs blood flow. So your disruption in nitric oxide production is related to dementia, is related to memory loss, and a lot of these issues, right?
Right.
So again, nitric oxide is a gas with age, right? It starts diminishing. So every year, 10 to 12% of our nitric oxide production goes down. By the age we are 40, 50, we can't produce 50% of nitric oxide, right? So again, there are two pathways how we produce nitric oxide. And I'm telling all this because this is linked to your supplements, right? And so one is nitric oxide synthase, which is an enzyme NOS, right? So when we take a lot of, we know L-arginine amino acid, right? It is one of the essential amino acids. So it is found in dairy products like milk, right? Like curd, like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, meat, a lot of these dairy products, right? So to convert L-arginine into nitric oxide, right? You need this NOS, right? So even if you're taking L-arginine, if you don't have NOS, probably you will not get nitric oxide, right? Second thing is when we are taking PPIs and statins and all these drugs, right? It disrupts the production of nitric oxide. Also releases, so PPIs, releases stomach acid, also releases a metabolite which inhibits the nitric oxide production, right? So when you are taking these anti, the statins and PPIs and all these drugs, right? It is interfering with nitric oxide production, increases your risk for hypertension, right? That is one pathway. Other pathway is your mouth, oral microbiome, right? So a lot of these microbes in a mouth, they actually convert the inorganic nitrate which is found in various leafy greens like spinach, parsley, arugula, a lot of these vegetables, right? It converts into nitrite, and nitrite again through saliva goes into a stomach acid where it is mixed with stomach acid to produce nitric oxide, right? So these are two pathways, and then again, your antiseptic mouthwashes, right? It clears all your germs in your mouth, and you have oral dysbiosis, and then you will have low nitric oxide production, right? And that's why there's a research which came that people who take antiseptic mouthwashes have high blood pressure situations, right? Because of low nitric oxide, right? So that is one thing. Second thing, now it's more important, and this is something I'm not sure whether people know this or not, that artificial sweeteners, right?
Big thing,
Artificial, yeah.
I was about to use it in the morning, and then I realized, it's not a good thing. Let's not do it.
So probably you will
So
never do it.
yeah,
Let me tell you a few things, right?
after this
So
talk, yeah,
yeah. So artificial sweeteners like sucralose, there's a research which came, it leads to DNA damage and oxidative stress. It can lead to impaired insulin signaling, right? And
oh,
basic fundamental is that
aspartame.
yeah, basic fundamental is when you are taking artificial sweeteners, your oral microbiome sends a signal to your pancreas and to your gut microbiome that, I've incurred something sweet, please release insulin. And but pancreas releases insulin, there's no glucose to be metabolized because artificial sweetener doesn't have any glucose, and that's why over a period of time you become insulin intolerant, and that's why you have insulin resistance, right? That is
Hmm.
one of the things. Now, sucralose, sorbitol, right? Saccharin,
Hmm.
aspartame, these are also found in our toothpaste,
Yeah.
right? So when
So
we are doing this, we are actually creating a risk of cardiovascular diseases. It suppresses nitric oxide production, right?
correct.
Right. Another thing, another research, let me share this, right? I'll start with something really important here. So uh, I'm making it very clear. This is the research, right?
Yeah.
Which actually shares the sucralose, right, which is
Yeah.
found in lot of supplements,
Yeah.
right? Every supplement which is sold as prebiotic, probiotic, vitamin supplements, right? Synbiotics, which is being now sold by a number of companies, investors as are my, since I request to investors is please, investigate properly before you invest in such companies. You even don't know how it is harmful for a human being, humanity, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, this research sucrose at higher concentration increases oxidative stress, which
Yeah.
reduces the NOS, which I mentioned, nitric oxide synthase expression, right?
Yeah.
So NOS, this sucrose, these sorbitol, these leads to oxidative stress and leads to low nitric oxide production, right?
Yeah.
Which is starting point I mentioned about obesity, diabetes, mental health issues, erectile dysfunction, impact sexual health, impact hypertension, blood pressure situations, right? So, this all is linked to this, and I'll share another thing here.
And this is Nature paper, correct? This paper had come in the Nature
Yeah,
journal,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
And
these are
so we are not,
research.
yeah, so we
Hmm,
are not talking about some XYZ journal. We are talking
hmm,
about Nature, which is the topmost journal, scientific research journal,
yeah.
with very high impact factor.
Hmm.
So we are trying to bring very quality stuff for the audience, so that they know what's happening and how are they being cheated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you see, if you see here, oxidative stress decreases nitric oxide synthase and can cause atherosclerosis, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, asthma, COPD, cancer, and diabetes. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now another shocking thing today I'm going to reveal before we start discussing about more about the connection between the probiotics is nitric oxide inhibits the replication of coronavirus.
Mm.
Right. So this research came 15 years back,
Oh.
right, which said that coronavirus is spread due to nitric oxide deficiency, right? So
And this is Journal of Virology, in
this is
2005, which is
yeah, this is
another very reputed journal.
this is NCBI, this is the globally everyone refers to NCBI, right? And it shows that immune cells actually, stimulates the flow of blood flow. And it actually tells your macrophages and neutrophils to actually, let the blood flow and the nitric oxide production improves in the areas where it is infected. It kills all the pathogens, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so again, when we are taking artificial sweeteners, we are actually suppressing nitric oxide production, right? As I shared, because of oxidative stress, NOS, and even it disbalances your oral microbiome, So both pathways are impacted, right? And
Yeah.
that's one of the reason why people. So two people who have COVID, one may, you know, recover in 2 days, and one may find themselves in hospital, right? Because you are already dealing with all these diseases because there's low nitric oxide production, right? So if you have cardiovascular disease, this TMA and whatever is being produced, which causes cardiovascular disease, or LPS, which causes diabetes, probably these are the toxins which, if you do have low nitric oxide production, these are not cleared, right? And that's why they circulate in the bloodstream and you have these diseases, right? So coming on to supplements now the thing is, I want to, we'll discuss this, that, first of all the supplements have certain standard strain, standard quantities, whether it is, lactobacillus, reuteri, casei, paracasei, bifidobacterium longum, right? Reuteri. So a lot of these species, right? And these are in standard. Then they have prebiotics, then they have vitamin B3, B5, C, they have inulin, right? They put, and the biggest thing, they put sucralose, they put sorbitol, they put, all these things. So first thing is that, how do you know how much of each bacteria you have? How do they decode that? It's not about bacteria, it's also about, how those strains, which genes are being expressed, how these strains are impacting multiple biological processes or dysfunctions, right? These are not decoded, and these will drive which strain is required, how much of it is required, right? These are not, so you are yourself putting wrong things inside your body, right? Right. So these are few questions we should ask. If you have, so let me give an example. I'm not name the company, but there's a company which was putting this L-Reuteri in the PCOS supplement, right? And L-Reuteri in a research by NCBI is correlated with obesity. Right. L-Reuteri, if it's high, it can lead to weight gain and obesity. And you are putting this in a PCOS supplement, right? Which itself is going to backfire. You'll have, more hormonal issues. You'll have insulin resistance, a lot of these things, right? So it's all, making fool of people, to be very frank, right? And then again, artificial sweeteners we have discussed, right? We know artificial sweeteners are there in every supplement. If you check the label, you check the ingredients, right? Thing is it in powder or encapsulated form? We have discussed this. There's a research which says, research on frontiers, it says that there's an oral administration of probiotic in a powder form is just waste, because it has to pass through stomach acid, through bile acid, through digestive enzymes, even colonization resistance in the gut, right? So essentially, in a powdered form, it gets dissolved. It's like having an ORS or a glucose, right? It is, you're paying $600,000 for an ORS, right? Which is not going to help. Okay. So anything in powder or a sachet is just waste of money. Do not buy such stuff. Second is, even if it's capsulated form, what kind of encapsulation technique has been used? Is it patented or not? Right? It should survive the, stressful stomach acid situation, the bile acid, the digestive enzymes, right? And for instance, if someone has vitamin B3 in their supplement, what if you have uric acid? Because vitamin B3 niacin can lead to further increased uric acid, right? Similarly, if someone has L-carnitine in the supplement, what if you have high TMAO production? L-carnitine is something which is converted to TMA, which passes through liver, gets converted to TMAO, which is one of the reasons for, cardiovascular disease, right? And coronary artery disease, right? So one, you should understand, ask the question, right? Is there a patent or not on that supplement? Not on the ingredient, but there is a patent or not, right? Is there a peer-reviewed research journal on the product, right? Is there a clinical trial? What is the sample size, right? These are a clean first level of filtration of buying a, probiotic or prebiotic supplement, right? It has to be made to order based on your biology, right? It can. And another thing I'll share with, which is something not given anywhere, right? So the strains such as L. reuteri, L. gesserii, Bifidobacterium. There are certain these strains, especially these lactobacillus species, right?
Yeah.
They are found in mouth, and this is very interesting, right? So some of these microbes in the mouth, when you eat maybe refined carbohydrate, sugar, or donuts, and a lot of these things, it converts this into lactic acid, right?
Yeah.
And it leads to dental cavities. So if you are taking those supplements and if your oral microbiome is imbalanced, right, you may develop oral cavities, dental caries, or periodontal disease, right?
Yeah.
So these are few things, and I'm going to share certain screenshots about certain customer feedback on supplements. I really wish they had made this without any sorbitol or artificial sweeteners. I've been saying from I'm susceptible to migraines because of it. If you add artificial sweetener
My
to your
God.
gut, it serves no purpose. Just 3 days of me having it and gives me migraine. Right? Now, this is again doing damage more than good. Severe and constant bloating, and my gut health has changed to making me realize miserable. I'm not fit into my clothes, and I ended up eating a massive bar of chocolate. So sugar cravings are pretty much there. Right? Similarly, polyols may have laxative effects already due to IBS. One has loose motion by aggravate IBS by adding artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
Right. Similarly, I took it for 4 days. From the first 2 days are amazing, but third day onward, if I started constipated, 4 day worse. They claim to improve your gut biome, but it actually disturbed my natural biome.
Absolutely.
After seeing frequent Facebook pop-ups of this, I tried it. After having, I'm getting a lot of side effects like eye dryness, frequent stomach upset. I'm not stopping waiting for gut to function as earlier before taking this supplement. So, these are the facts, right?
Absolutely.
These are the real facts. Artificial sweetener is bad. Focus on, do not take artificial sweeteners to suppress your nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide promotes blood flow, blood circulation, relaxes your arteries, relaxes your blood vessels. It improves your sexual health, improves your mental health, improves your metabolic health, right? So you do not suppress, do not enter into a situation of oxidative stress. These supplements are again, by the name of supplement itself, it is supplementing your food. First, focus on the food. This overnight fixing things doesn't work, right?
Absolutely. So I think thank you very much, Sushant, for this really wonderful information on nitric oxide and nitric oxide synthase, and supplements and artificial sweeteners. Another thing I would like to comment here is how people are fooled. Let me talk about whey protein supplement, from where the whole thing started.
Yeah.
So in cheese industry, and I was global leader in top multinationals. So I don't want to name the company, but then the cheese making process, there is whey which needs to be discarded, and it costs humongous amount of money to discard that whey. So somebody came out with an idea that let us precipitate proteins from the whey, and they started giving it to people, because it was available free. Whey was being discarded by cheese industry free. वो लोग बोलते थे ले जाओ यार यहाँ से उठा के, क्योंकि discard करना itself is time consuming. It takes a lot of money. So these guys started precipitating the whey, get the proteins, now put the flavors, put blah blah blah, and start giving it to people. And this is how this whole industry is actually shit. Which is being given to the people. And yes, it helps. When you have proteins, it helps to some extent, but just look at the havoc it plays when you have too much of protein powder just going inside. Think about how it really impacts all the organs, microbiome. That's not the natural way. Anything which is in powder, as you correctly said, without doing proper research, being fed into humans, bad idea. I would really say bad idea, because life and a body is all about balancing. And if you disrupt that balance in this way, I'm sure it's going to have a lot of trouble. Then adding artificial sweeteners to it, all sort of chemical flavors into it, you are actually playing with your life.
metals,
Absolutely.
even metals,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely.
apart from, these supplements, we know these are all waste of money. I'm again requesting all the funds for investing in this. It's for the sake of humanity. Because you all know we at Gene Freaketics have one mission to help people lead better lives, and that's why we never promote supplement. We never recommend supplements, although we tell with supplement your what sort of nutrients your body requires through supplementation. But unless we come up our own, which would be backed by clinical trials, which will be made to order for everyone's individual body, which will not have any artificial stuff, right? Which is something we are actually waiting our regulatory license to come, and that's why we'll start making our own, right? But uh, do not play with these. Do not these just check off these ingredients. If you know the fund, right? Check what kind of ingredients are being put. They are FSI may approve, because these are sort of generally used by artificial sweeteners. They are also used by food industry, FMCG industries, right? So essentially, these are generally form part of our food, whether it is packaged food, whether it is supplement, whether it is boxed, right? So these have detrimental impact on our health, right? And few things, as you rightly pointed out, sir, few things a complete no is, you know, genetic testing does not tell you anything. Your genes remain the same. Your genes does not change for life. When you are sick, when you are healthy, you do a DNA both times, your genes would be same. What changes how your genes are being expressed, and those expressions done by a microbiome again. Even if you talk of genes, 99% of genes inside our body belong to these microbes, right? So by human DNA testing is just waste of time and money, right? Focus on understanding your microbiome, your oral microbiome, your gut microbiome, your skin, scalp, uh, your vaginal microbiome, right? So essentially, focus on these microbes are your friend. Feed them right. Understand what your body needs. Do not fall for fat diets. No one can tell you what you should eat, right? There are tens of thousands of biochemical activities happening inside the body, right? And no one can exactly tell you what you should eat, what you should not, right? So these all are understand your biology, decode your biology at a molecular level, right? That's what I wanted to say. Just check labels. If any of the supplements have uh, artificial sweeteners like sorbitol, like sucralose, please do not buy them. This is sincere request from us. I do
Absolutely
not
not.
buy
Say
them.
no to
Yeah,
artificial sweeteners. That's the message for everyone.
yeah.
So thank you very much, Sushant, and
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure audience will enjoy this. I think everyone should watch this. So I am going to talk to a lot of people this time and make sure that more and more people watch, they benefit, and they stay away from chronic diseases. So thank you
Yeah.
very much for this
Thank
important
you, sir.
message and your time.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you.